Hello my random viewers and welcome to Randomly Offensive. Today I am going to do another top 10 Simps of the MCU because I had a lot of fun doing the last one and it was received pretty well, and there are so many Simps in the MCU. It was easy for me to come up with another 10 of them. On top of that, I will be doing a top 10 Chads after this one because I have the list and I'm ready to record them, but I want to do the top 10 Simps at least one more time because it was just so much fun. So, with that being said, let's get on with the video. Number 1 for today's top 10 list of Simps in the MCU is Strange Supreme from the What If. Now, I know that he was only simping over one woman, and I know that the driving force of Doctor Strange Supreme in What If was to get that woman back, and he lost her, and it was very sad. And it does teach a very valuable lesson that you have to let go of what you once loved that you have lost, right? It teaches a very valuable lesson, and I love the episode for that. However, that doesn't matter when you're being rated as a simp or not. And this guy lost all reasoning over this woman. He was simping for her so hard, even after she passed away, that he was willing to destroy his entire universe to get her back. And that is top level simpage right there. And yes, I know it could be very hard to lose and understandably get over a lost loved one. However, you're still simping if you're willing to destroy the entire freaking universe when literally everybody else in the entire history of the world has had to get over the loss of a loved one. So you are simping hard, buddy. Very, very hard. Now, if that first one was a little offensive, I apologize, but warning, I may offend you is in the beginning of every video, and I will be very offensive at random. So, the number 2 is Korath the Pursuer. Again, the What If version. Because this guy is not the badass Korath that we are used to seeing in the MCU. This guy is a total simp for T'Challa. This guy, worships the ground that he walks on. This guy is a complete and total simp for T'Challa and everything that T'Challa does. This guy's a total fanboy and he can't get over it. And he's a total simp. This guy just simps all over the place in the entire episode. He's like a little anime schoolgirl. He's just big-eyed and just everything is so amazing to him that T'Challa does. This is what you would expect to see from a 5-year-old. So he's a total simp for T'Challa in the What If episode. Now, the man that is number 3, of course, he is not as much of a simp as Korath the Pursuer or Strange Supreme from the What Ifs, but since he is not animated and not in a What If, he is in the main MCU timeline, he does come in at number 8, even though, be honest, I don't think he deserves that spot. He probably deserves to be 10, but like I said, I just couldn't bring myself to put What If characters that high on the list. So it is no other than Roadie the War Machine. Now this guy is for the most part a lot like Tony Stark from our previous top 10 Simps. If you haven't seen it, definitely go check it out. I will link it at the end of the video. You can just fast forward and watch it and come on back. But this guy is for the most part a total Chad. However, he is simp and he does earn some simp points because this guy just goes with whatever the government, the military, and what Iron Man says as absolute fact. He has none of his own opinions, and he's always wanting to be just as good as Tony Stark. He puts on this facade that he's better than Tony Stark, and what makes him number 8 on the simp list is in Age of Ultron, he has to repeat the same joke to multiple people just so they can laugh. This guy's so desperate for approval and admiration that he just keeps repeating the same horrible, funny story to get the applause that he wants. And when he gets the applause he wants, he is not ashamed of it. He is super proud, smiles, and nods in acceptance. This guy's simping for laughter and appreciation. This is the type of guy you don't want to be a comedian. This total simp. Like, we all know that one guy at every party that has to, like, just fight for being the top dog and having the most best stories and be in the limelight, and they're incredibly annoying, which is why War Machine makes it on this list, because in reality, we would not want to invite this guy to our parties, because he's going to try to steal the limelight and the spotlight, and they just get on your nerves, and you know what I am speaking is absolute fact. Now, number 7, of course, is pretty much the same deal. He is Falcon. Now, he's not much of a Chad, or he's not much of a simp at first. He seems like a Chad until you really look into him. This guy, when you're watching him, regardless if it's an effect from the actor or not, this guy's trying way too hard to be badass. You can tell that it's not natural for him. He's trying way too hard to be level-headed. He's trying way too hard to be cool. His comebacks are always off just a little bit. This is the cool guy in the room who's not actually cool. And he's like copycatting characters and anime characters and anime villains that he's seen on the TV, and he's trying to be an embodiment of them. And that also, in reality, can get incredibly annoying when everybody has to be one up when it comes to the comebacks and the wit, and he has to do everything he can to seem like he's the cool guy. That puts you in the simp category because you're simping for attention, and you know it's true. And now with number 6, that's when we finally get into the real simpage of the list, finally, with Ant-Man. Yes, Paul Rudd's Ant-Man, Scott Lang, is a total simp for Hope. It's so obvious. He tries so hard. He tries too hard. It's incredibly cringy. And this guy fights and fights and fights to get with Hope. And then he gets jealous of Hope and wants everything Hope has while wanting to be with Hope. And that just puts him very low on the totem pole when it comes to Chad list, which is why he is a simp. And he doesn't just simp for Hope, he simps for all the Avengers. He simps for every male and female character in the Avengers. He just can't get enough of these guys, and he's willing to do whatever it takes to impress Captain America, and doing whatever it takes to impress Falcon. Even though he already beat Falcon, he's like looking up to Falcon as this type of hero, because he is such a simp that he actually buys into Falcon's cool facade. So it is an absolute joke, and I find it very, very funny to watch. Don't get me wrong, I love all these characters, but it's also fun dissing on them, which is what I'm doing, and I'm gonna keep doing it, probably for as long as the MCU keeps making movies. And as long as the MCU keeps making movies, they are gonna keep delivering us with wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Sims to frickin' make fun of. And coming in at number 5 is Hank Pym. Hank Pym is a total simp. This guy gives everything up after he lost his wife, and I understand it's very, very tough. He didn't have to learn the same lesson that Strange Supreme had to learn, which was actually letting go. He never let go. He did get back what he was fighting to get back, and I don't know if that puts him higher on the Chad list or higher on the simp list. I'm not actually sure, but with that being said, this guy dedicated like his entire life to getting this woman back. Instead of just accepting that she was gone, he just dedicated his entire life to it, and he alienated his daughter. He caused an entire... He was the cause of the villain in Ant-Man, all because he couldn't get over a woman. So he's a total simp. This guy just spends so much money. He even becomes a criminal in order to achieve his goal. And a lot of people will think that's admirable, but it's not. It's simperable. And coming in at number 4 is not Hank Pym, we just did him. Wen Wu from Shang-Chi. Wen Wu is a total simp. He gave up hundreds of years of building a criminal empire and ruling the world. He gave up his lifelong dream of ultimate power for this woman. He gave everything up. He just threw everything in the bucket. He's like the Chandler of the MCU. Just gave it all up for literally no reason but to marry a woman when he could marry any woman that wouldn't require him to give that up. Most women would be very happy to sit on a throne of skull bones, right? Of skulls and bones. It's gross, but a lot of women would be willing to sit on that throne if it meant that they too got to have ultimate power and be with the most powerful man in the entire frickin' world. So he just chose the wrong chick, and he chose the chick that would make him have to give up his lifelong dream, as evil as it was. You know, there's a lot of evil people that wanted world domination. You didn't see them simping for women, though I do not condone any of those people. But he's still a simp. And number 3 is Vision, because this guy simped so hard he became human. He was an AI. He was a robot. He was an AI installed into a robotic body, a manufactured body. And he simped so hard for Wanda that he actually forced his AI programming out of the system. He simped so hard, he denied reality. He did the impossible just by the pure power of simpage. It is hilarious. This guy simped so hard that he changed and altered the very fabrics of reality just so he could get a kiss. And I mean, it's impressive, but it's still simpage. It's very impressive simp power. Who knew that simpage could change the world? I don't know if he changed it for the better. I mean, he almost killed Roadie, and with how much Roadie wants admiration, losing his legs probably isn't going to help him there. So he just destroyed a fellow simp because he simped so hard he became human. And while we're on this topic, number 2 is Wanda. Because again, her story does really focus on the hard lesson of you have to let things go, and you have to let lost loved ones go. And I don't mean to make light of that at all. I love that lesson. I love that value, and storytelling is great, and it teaches a very valuable lesson. However, she simped so hard, she also changed the very fabrics of reality. But unlike Vision, she changed the fabrics of reality against other people's will. She was holding people in psychological prison and turned them into her puppets and created an entire fake city just for her to have Vision back so she could simp so hard. And then she ended up having kids with him that were fake. This woman created an entire fake life and imprisoned people against their will just so she could have somebody that she couldn't have because she was simping so hard. Hell, she was willing to let the entire world, or at least half the world, half the entire universe, to get snapped away because she didn't want to kill the man she was simping so hard for. And I'm very happy for myself because I just included a woman in my MCU list. So, very progressive. I do believe I get a pat on the back for that. So, progressive Mr. Random is here, and I'm fighting for equality. Everyone gets on the simp list. Now, the final character, number 1 that comes in, and honestly, he's number 1 on this list and the previous list. This guy is a total simp. He's the king of simps, and I hate this character with a passion. I wish the MCU just got rid of him completely, and that is Trevor Slattery, the fake Mandarin from Iron Man 3. I hate him so much, and he's such a hardcore simp. He simps for success. He simps for women. He simps to be an actor. He simps for his dreams. He simps for everything. He simps so hard that he actually helps a criminal organization cause terror throughout the entire freaking world. I mean, all this guy wants is fame, money, women, and drugs, and he's willing to give up everything for it, including his dignity, because who is willing to allow the entire world to go into possibly World War III over that kind of stuff? This guy just doesn't care. He's a hardcore simp, and he doesn't even care that he's a loser or a failed actor. He continues the facade, and he's proud of the fact that he played as a terrorist that people thought was real because it gave him what he wanted very temporarily, and he's perfectly happy being a prisoner to Wen Wu, who is another simp. So I mean, just triple the simpage here, because he's willing to be imprisoned by another simp just so that he could continue pretending like he's acting, and he's like performing, and he's almost a jester for Wen Wu just so that he could consider himself an actor and still get, like, you know, laid, and still get chicks, and still get money, and still get drugs, lots and lots of drugs. So the guy's a total loser. I hate him so much. I wish we got the real Mandarin. Trevor Slatter is a horrible character. He's a total simp, and He's just a crappy person. Could you imagine someone like this in the real world who wanted to be an actor so much that he decided to pretend to be a horrible, horrible terrorist in order to get fame and experience so he could act in other movies, even though everyone knows you're gonna go to prison if you're caught. Like, you are just causing horrible, horrible problems that a normal person would not be willing to cause for their dreams. So not only is he a simp, but he's a simpastic psychopath as well. I mean, only a psychopath would be willing to do this for the things that you want. So, Trevor Slattery, number 1, absolutely. And that is my list for the second top 10 simps of the MCU. If you made it this far, thank you very much for listening, and do please consider hitting the like, subscribe, and maybe even the share button. Helps me out a lot. I'm a small channel. Don't get hit by a meteor. Take care of yourselves. Bye.